So what exactly happened on Snowpiercer? Well, we find out in episode 2. Once Audrey comes to, she tells Leighton and his group exactly what went down on Snowpiercer 9 months ago when Admiral Anton Milius took over on behalf of the International Peacekeeping Forces. And peacekeeping is certainly one way to put it. He's got an interesting tactic for that. When he commands both Ben and Till to take him to Melanie, neither of them are really keen to do that because they don't know who these guys are. At one point, they both try to fight back, with Till picking up a phone to call Melanie and warn her about Anton and his group, and they shoot her. And with that, peace on Snowpiercer died. Audrey jumped in action to help Till out, but Till said, no, you have to warn Melanie about what's going on. And she was able to, kind of. Melanie is able to lock the engine door, but when Melanie hears that Ben is on the outside, Anton is threatening violence, he's already shot one passenger, seems like he's itching to do it again, Melanie reluctantly opens up the door. Anton and his group set up shop in the engine room. They put their own software in, they put their own coordinates in, and they kick Melanie and Ben out, even though Melanie and Ben both say, you need an engineer to actually drive the train. Anton Milius doesn't think they do. He has his men put both of them in the hospitality room, where Melanie used to make announcements. And Melanie realized at this point that the rocket that exploded in the sky was nothing more than an attempt to lure them in, which they fell for. While Melanie and Ben discuss what happened and how to get out of the room that they're currently stuck in because there's a guard outside, there is an announcement made over the loudspeaker that everybody in first and second class has to move to third. And while everybody's being relocated, Till is able to get patched up by the doctor. After Till gets patched up, she's frantically looking for Audrey, and Audrey is doing the same thing. She's trying to get down Carr to get back to Till. She is, however, caught by Anton's men, who kind of corner her in Wilfred's library, and Milius starts questioning her on what she knows about Melanie. And that's because at this point, Melanie and Ben were able to bust out of the room that they were sequestered in. They knocked out, hell, they might have even killed the guard, and they snuck under the train in an attempt to slow it down and ultimately take back the engine. So as Milius is questioning Audrey about Melanie, all of a sudden the train jerks forward, and Audrey has a grin on her face, knowing full well that that was Melanie. But all this did was piss off Milius. He decides to make an example out of everybody. While everybody could travel down train and go where they want, after the train slowed down, Milius decided to get everybody in one singular car in the market, trapping everybody there. He then instructed one of his men to shoot at the ceiling so it would cause a bullet hole, and that little hole would leak in freezing cold air. He then had one of the members from hospitality announce that in 20 minutes, everybody's going to freeze in that car unless Melanie shows up. Melanie decides the best way to save these people isn't to give herself up, it's to take back the engine. She's been able to figure out that there's only one guard guarding the engine. So what she's going to do is she's going to go outside of the train, sneak up, and try to take it back. Ben, of course, thinks that she's nuts for doing this, but Melanie feels like it's the only way. She'll free everybody from the engine once she takes it back. In the meantime, Milius is in the engine, and he's talking to somebody from wherever he came from, giving them an ETA of about 20 minutes. Both Ben and Melanie had realized that whatever track they were on wasn't there the last time they came around the globe. So whoever these people are, they laid new track and laid it quickly. They're no longer on Wilford track, which means they don't know where they're going. So Melanie has no idea where she's going, but she's also on a time crunch because she needs to get to the engine before most of the passengers freeze to death. Unfortunately, before she can reach the engine, it's too late. Snowpiercer has arrived at its destination. It looks to be a mountain tunnel. The train decelerates. A tunnel connects to the train, allowing people from this base to enter Snowpiercer. And Milius gets ready to welcome his colleagues. But just because they've arrived doesn't mean that Melanie has given up hope on taking back Snowpiercer. She grabs a gun, she heads to the engine, she opens the door, and there's only one guard there, and he's got a gun pointed back at her, but Melanie tells him, you don't have authority to shoot me. If you did, you already would have. So back up, and I'm taking back the train. And the guy's forced to do it. The first thing she does when she gets on the control board is free all the passengers who are on death's door. She then turns to the one guard and at gunpoint says, get out of my engine. I will shoot you. That's when Milius returns with one of his colleagues, and it turns out Melanie knows him. It's a guy named Dr. Nima. Milius walks away so Nima and Melanie can get reacquainted, and Melanie is shocked to see him. She can't believe he survived. He explains that the International Peacekeeping Group contacted him when the weather turned for his research. The U.S. Air Force flew him to this bunker along with 80 other scientists to try to reverse what happened to the planet. That's all well and good, but Melanie's pissed off about how Milius conducted himself, trying to take the train over. To which Nema says Admiral Milius does have a temper, and I don't agree with it. But Snowpiercer did need to dock here. He goes on to explain that his research team had developed a compound that triggers CW7 to denature in the upper atmosphere. They've only been able to fire them in single locations, but because of this research, they've been able to create 6 warm spots. And right away, Melanie knows exactly where these warm spots are. The thing is, these warm spots need to grow. They need to feed off one another, kind of create a spider web. That's why they need Snowpiercer. They need Snowpiercer to go around the globe and launch the compound, creating this spider web approach and hopefully getting the planet back to normal. Melanie, however, doesn't think it's a guarantee to work, and Nema excitedly says, "We have one working satellite left. It did work. I'll show you." And he shows Melanie a live footage of New Eden. The fact that they're outside, the fact that they've created a community, the fact that New Eden is working. He then shows Melanie all the data that they have that backs up what he's saying, and he makes a believer out of Melanie Cavill. Later on, she has a one-on-one conversation about Ben with all of this, because if they were to do this, it wouldn't be easy. They'd have to retrofit Snowpiercer to fire off this compound. The passengers on Snowpiercer, their lives would be turned upside down. And both Ben and Melanie agree that if you were to tell them the end game is they can go outside and they don't have to live on a train anymore, a lot of them would be all for that. Now, the other thing is, Melanie wouldn't be coming with them. She would be staying back at this bunker, going through research and getting ready for Snowpiercer to come back and refuel it. Ben would basically be in charge. It's a risk, but it's one that Melanie is willing to take. So 9 months ago, she handed over the keys to Snowpiercer, and Snowpiercer took off. Fast forward a few days ago, and Snowpiercer is way, way different. Miles, though, overheard a conversation with Milius where they were going to ambush New Eden. When he told Ben and Till and Audrey, they knew they had to warn their friends, because that was never part of the plan. So what Ben and his group decided to do was put Till in a track scaler and have her go to New Eden, warning Layton and the entire group so they can prepare for Milius and his men. That was the plan. It was forced to change, though, when Audrey, after saying goodbye to Till, was leaving the car and she was caught by one of Milius' soldiers, and he started attacking Audrey. Till jumped out of the track scaler to defend her girlfriend. All the while, Ben is sitting in the controls waiting for the okay to get the track scaler onto the actual track. Time is running out. And eventually it got to the point where Audrey had to get in the track scaler, radio Ben and say, "It's me, you gotta send me and you gotta do it now." So that's how Audrey got in the track scaler, and that's how she got to New Eden. After Audrey tells Layton and the rest of the leaders of New Eden all of this, the one thing they can't figure out is what exactly Milius and his men want with Liana. And Layton, being her father, doesn't even want to think about where his daughter is. So he leaves, he takes off, and when Josie asks, "Where are you going?" he just says, "To find them."
Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.